verse 13 down, it says, when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? They replied, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. But what about you, he asked. Who do you say I am? Simon Peter, who always got it wrong but always went first. Simon Peter answered, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Jesus replied, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah. For this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but my Father in heaven. In other words, Simon, you finally got one right. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Now, this conversation leading up to this was really pretty fascinating. They've been traveling with Jesus. They've been watching Jesus teach and observing him perform miracles. And I imagine their brains were just absolutely being stretched to the max and wondering, who is this? And there are certain stories that fit the narrative. And when Jesus taught, when he healed, and when he brought in the poor and the outcasts, there were narratives that would make them think, maybe this is the Messiah. And as Jesus was teaching and helping them understand who he was, that would be confirmed time after time after time. But then Jesus says, who do people say that I am? And they knew right away, because we all love to talk. And so Jesus, we want you to know it's great news. They say you're John the Baptist. By the way, that's a compliment. I mean, John was extraordinary. He was seen as almost the reinstatement of God speaking to his people. They said, John the Baptist. Others say Elijah. You're the prophet Elijah. Others say you're Jeremiah or one of the prophets. Every one of these were an incredible compliment. It's sort of like if I said, to the boys, who do people say that I am when I play basketball? And so I said, they say you're Steph Curry. Others, they say you're Kobe. You're LeBron. All that would be a compliment, unless, of course, I'm Michael Jordan. See, all of these were compliments, unless, of course, you're actually the Messiah. See, to say you're John the Baptist or Elijah or Jeremiah or one of the prophets would be an incredible compliment if Jesus was just another man. But Jesus, in his own explanation, tells us he's the Son of Man. He is God taking on flesh and blood. And so everything that they described him as was actually not a compliment if you understood who he was. And then Jesus presses them. And by the way, this is the question that all of us need to answer. When Jesus says, who do you say that I am? That's really the basic question that every one of us need to answer about Jesus. Not who did your parents say Jesus was, or who did your professor say Jesus was, or who did your pastor say Jesus was, but who do you say Jesus is? And Simon Peter understood that this was a directly intimate question. He said, you are the Messiah. And when Peter says this, what he's actually saying to Jesus is that you're the fulfillment of every promise that God has given us about how he's going to set us free. You're the Messiah. You're the Christ. You're the Son of the living God. And I don't know if Simon understood the full implications of that statement when he says you're the Son of the living God. He's saying you are the manifestation of God himself. And so Jesus says, Simon, you got it right, but you cheated. This was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but my Father in heaven. But then he goes on and he adds this. And I tell you that you are Peter, which, by the way, is translated rock. And on this rock, I will build my church. And the gates of Hades will not overcome it. Then he adds this incredible imagery to the power that will be entrusted to everyone who is a part of his church.
Welcome to Mosaic. We're so glad you're here. My name is Carlos Pimentel, and I'm the Hollywood campus pastor. We want you to know that we're so grateful that you're here with us. If you're joining us for the first time, Mosaic is a global community that lives by faith, is known by love, and is a voice of hope to the world. One of the best ways to enjoy this online community is with others. So, invite your friends, your family, your co-workers. Just share this link with someone you love.
Have you ever wondered how to engage today's rapidly changing culture with the truths of the scriptures? Mosaic Learning Labs is designed for this very purpose. Learning Labs challenges how you think about what's true. If you want to learn more about scripture, theology, and leadership, join us. Learning Labs is a subscription-based platform with courses available 24/7 so you can deepen your faith at your own pace. Subscribe at mosaiclearninglabs.com. Let's unlock the scriptures together.
Here at Mosaic, we believe in the power of prayer. Philippians 4:6 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Prayer is just an open conversation between us and the living God, where we can tell Him about our situations, our anxieties, and our gratitude. You can ask for advice and guidance. We can put everything in His hands and trust that He will hold us with grace and strength. You aren't alone in your prayers. Whether it's a season of need or a season of praise, we want to know how we can be praying for you. Go to mosaic.org/prayer.
Good morning, welcome to Mosaic. Come on, would you stand on your feet? We're so excited that you could join us this morning. I want to just encourage you to just open up this morning and put our hearts in a posture of gratitude, and let's see what God can do today. Oh, this is how I thank the Lord. Oh, how I thank the Lord. Come on, we sing. Oh, this is how I thank the Lord. Oh, how I thank the Lord. I don't have enough words. I'll never live enough lifetimes to fully know your worth, to know all that you deserve. All of my deceptions, all of my duplicity, now there is no record, 'cause you assume the best of me. This is why I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak, so I will sing. This is why I thank the Lord for everything. This is why I thank the Lord. This is why I thank the Lord for loving me, for keeping me, and so I will sing. This is why I thank the Lord for everything. Come on, if you have a reason, we sing. This is why I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak, so I will sing. This is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is how I thank the Lord. Oh, this is how I thank the Lord for loving me and keeping me, so I will sing. This is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is how I thank. Can we sing? I will sing, I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing. This is how we sing again. I will sing, I will sing, I will sing, I will sing. I will lift my praises to you. I'm singing now. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I
a few of us were just in Wyoming for the last week. Terrible place. Definitely don't go there. It's actually the prettiest place I've ever been in my life. But we got to spend a few days writing new songs for church, and with us in mind, with all of us singing together with this moment in mind. And so we want to share a song with you that we wrote, I think 2 days ago. So I hope that you will connect with it, or let us sing it over you, or sing with us, whatever you want to do in this moment. But this song is really about how God knows every part of us, and in response of someone who loves us completely, for knowing everything about us, in our response, we want to know him more. We want to go deeper with him. We want to offer everything to him. So we're going to sing this together, okay? Okay. Search me and know me. I'm done with the hiding. I know that you hear me, even in my silence. I give you honor, not for my favor, oh, for your glory. This is my prayer, that I wanna know you more. I wanna know you more. Oh, search me and know me. I'm done with the hiding. I know you hear me, even in my silence. Oh, I give you honor, and not for my favor, but all for your glory. Oh, this is my prayer, that I wanna know you more. I wanna know you. Oh, I wanna know you more. I wanna know you more. Wanna know you. Oh, I wanna know. I wanna know you. Oh, I wanna know you. Oh, I wanna all of the treasures I hold, everything that I own, I give it all to you, Jesus. Oh, I give it all to you, Jesus. All of the fear and the shame, all the insecurities, I give it all to you, Jesus. Oh, I give it all to you, Jesus. Every thought in my mind, every day of my life, I give it all to you, Jesus. Oh, I give it all to you, Jesus. All of my hopes and my dreams, oh, all of my hopes and my dreams, every beautiful thing, I give it all to you, Jesus. I give it all to you, Jesus.
posture this afternoon is that we're surrendering everything that we have at the feet of Jesus. Our dreams, our desires, our brokenness, everything that we have, we choose to put it in front of Him. And you might be here and you're like, hey, I don't know if I agree, or I don't know if I believe the same thing. I just want to invite you to press in a little more as we step into singing this song. It's a new song, I get it. I know that you don't know it yet, but that's why we have lyrics, so that you can sing. We can all sing together and step into this moment. It's not just the worship band singing for us. We all as a community, we get to step into this moment and tell Jesus, Jesus, I want to know you more. I want to know the plans that you have for me. I want to know the things that I need to change in my life. I want to know the things that needs to be fixed, the things that I need to know from you. Let's all sing that together one more time with everything we have. Come on.
All of the treasures I hold, everything that I own, I give it all to you, Jesus. I give it all of the fear and the shame. All of the fear and the shame, all the insecurities, I give it all to you, Jesus. I give it all to you, Jesus. Oh, every thought in my mind, every day of my life, I give it all to you, Jesus. I give it all to you, Jesus. All of my hopes and my dreams, all of my hopes and my dreams. Every beautiful thing, I give it all to you, Jesus. Come on, give it all to Jesus. Say, I give it all. I give it all. Oh, I give it all to you, Jesus. Oh, I give it all to you, Jesus. I give it all to you, Jesus. Oh, I give it all. I give it all. I give it all to you, Jesus. Oh, I give it all to you, Jesus. Oh, I give it all to you, Jesus. Come on, say, I wanna know. Oh, I wanna
Isn't it so good? I love this. If you just got here, you just heard a new song that MSC, we as a church, we wrote together, our team, and I love, we're going to be talking about this for the next couple of weeks, why the church matters, why this is so important. And I think us as a community, having our unique voice, having words that they communicate who Jesus is to us is so unique to us. It's one of the reasons why we are here as a church. Alan, so good to see you, papi. We're so glad that you're here today. If this is your first time or second time, can you raise your hand really quick? We want to say hi to you. There you go. All right. Hey, come on. We're so happy you're here with us this morning. Take a seat. I have a couple of invitations for you. My name is Carlos. I'm part of the team here at Mosaic. How you guys feeling? You guys feel okay? Good? I need a little more. There you go. Now we're talking. I just have a couple of invitations that I want to share with you. The first thing, if you're here and you're looking for ways to get connected, to meet people, to find a friend, there's a QR code right in front of you. So if you can, and even if you can't, just do it, because I think it's just better if we all do it together. Can you grab your phone really quick? Pull it out. Pull out your phone, and then there's a QR code right in front of your chair. Can you just take a photo of that? And that is the best way of staying connected, making a new friend, finding community. And also, it was kind of a trick. I just want you to silence your phone. So that way, during the message, you know, that random alarm that goes off right in the middle of the message, in the most important moment of the talk, there's always an alarm that goes insane. So I'm just saving you the embarrassment, all right? We have many things happening here as a church. We have a Bible study happening on Wednesday night, every Wednesday. We get here, if you're trying to go deeper in your relationship with Jesus and get to know more about who we are, Wednesday is a great space for you to connect, to find community, but also I love that over the next couple weeks, we're gonna be having a conversation about finances. If you're here and you feel like you need help, you wanna do better with your money, you wanna be able to generate more wealth, to manage your budget better, to be able to be more generous, can you raise your hand if you feel you wanna do that? I need that. Thank you for your honesty. I see some people in the middle going like, yes, I really need that in my life. That space on Wednesday night, starting on the 13th, is especially crafted for you. We're gonna have people speaking here who are experts in this area, who wanna help you get better in your finances. And then, like I was saying, for the next couple of weeks, we're gonna be diving into a series called Why the Church Matters. And something that we as a church, we believe in the power of what we can do together as a community. This week, our pastor, Kim McManus, is going to be going to North Carolina, Asheville, a place that was devastated and really affected by the hurricane that happened a couple of weeks ago. And we as a church, we get to send a team to go there and help people who are in need. And to me, this is why what we do is so important. This is why the church matters. It's not just what happens here in the building. It's not just what happened here inside this building. It's what we get to do outside of this building. And I just want to invite you guys as part of our community to do two things. One is to start praying for our team, and the other thing, let's be generous, let's step in, let's give, so that we can do a lot more that we want to do, not just in Asheville, but all around the world. I want to invite the team to come forward. The worship team, where are you guys? I see you there. You guys all come here. And everyone, will you guys stand up? We'll have one more chance to worship and to sing together before we hear a beautiful message from Pastor Erwin. And in this next couple minutes, I don't know if you had a great week or a hard week or what's happening in your life. I do know that every time that we hear and we get a chance, we slow down, we get a moment where we can quiet all the voices and the distractions in our life, and God becomes so real and so present in this beautiful moments of worship. Don't just be a spectator in this moment. Don't just sit back and watch. God is here, and He's here to be close to you. Let's all lean in and worship together.
nothing compares, nothing comes close to you. No one can know the depths of my soul like you. No, nothing compares, nothing comes close to you. No one can know the depths of my soul like you. Oh, nothing compares, nothing compares, no, nothing comes close to you. No one can know, no one can know the depths of my soul like you. No, nothing compares, nothing comes close to you. No one can know the depths of my soul like you. Oh, nothing compares, nothing comes close to you. No, no, no. No one can know the depths of my soul like you. Nothing compares, nothing comes close to you. Oh, no one can know the depths of my soul like you. 'Cause all I want is you. All I see is you. All I have, I bring to you. Oh, 'cause all I want is you. Oh, nothing compares, nothing comes close. Come on, you say no one can know. Oh, no one can know the depths of my soul like you. Nothing compares, nothing comes close to you. And no one can know the depths of my soul like you. Eyes on you, you have all my attention. Eyes on you, you hold all my affection. Always you, forever I will keep
My life,
on you.
it's only you, God.
Oh, eyes on you, you have all my attention. Eyes on you, you hold all my affection. Always you, forever I will keep my eyes on you.
Come on, Mosaic. What a great reminder. We need to have our eyes fixed in the right direction. I know this week we're in the midst of an incredibly controversial divide. And so I wanted to state my position very clearly. I'm a Dodger fan. And I appreciate the Yankees. I respect the Yankees. I'm okay if you're a Yankee fan, New York. But I just wanted to be very clear. We also have an election coming up. And some of you have already voted. And I encourage you to take the opportunity to fulfill your civil responsibility and vote. I would never tell you who to vote for. But I do know this. We're going to have a country in so much turmoil in just a few hours. And if you're for Harris and Trump wins, you're going to feel so disoriented and so upset and so betrayed, and our country is going to be so angry, and you have an opportunity to express hope and meaning and joy. And if you're a Harris voter and Trump wins, you're going to have the other way around? Or Trump wins, whichever one, I don't know. If Trump wins and you're a Harris supporter, if you're Harris wins and Trump wins, the world is not over, okay? I know everyone's telling us that whoever wins, the world's going to be over, but the world will not be over. On Wednesday, we will still be here, and you will still have a chance to make the world a better place. So I want you to keep that in perspective, because whoever runs the government probably isn't going to affect you when you're getting your cappuccino on Wednesday. And then when you make your choices to become a better version of you and create a better world around you. So I'm so glad we don't live in like ancient times where we have no say-so, that we actually have an ability to vote, to have our voices heard, and to shape the future of a nation. But just remember, there are things so much bigger than politics and elections. And I think this song reminds us. Let's keep our eyes on Jesus. And then when we look at what's going on in Washington, we'll just shake our head and go, wow, you guys are crazy. Let's pray together. Thank you, Father, so much that we stand in time in history, that real things happen. Elections have significant ramifications and impact. People's lives are affected and altered, some made better, some worse. But we know that that is not the overarching story that we're in. That it's your story that's more powerful. That you are the God who intervenes in every circumstance, in every situation. You're bigger than every political party, every ideology. And you're here for every person. So I pray, Lord God, that today you would bring peace and calm and perspective. That we might, in the midst of all the turmoil and chaos, be a voice of hope. We would always pull humanity toward a better future because of you. We thank you and pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Let's just thank God for this morning, guys. Come on. You can have a seat. It's always easier to talk to someone about something that is self-evident, something they already know they need or value. It's a little bit challenging when you want to talk to someone about something that they might think is supplemental, an experience that actually is far more essential to their life. And that's exactly what I want to do this morning. I want to talk to you about something that you might think is supplemental and try to convince you that it's actually essential. I want to talk to you about why the church matters. And I know if you're just a guest or if you're just visiting or if from your mindset you're attending or visiting church, it may not seem like that's significant of a conversation. But I want to propose to you that the reason the church matters so much is there's something essentially human that God is actually trying to engage in us, something he knows we desperately need, that we're designed for, created for, and actually long for, that we don't always understand. Now, I know for a lot of people what happens on Sunday, that's church. But by the way, tomorrow, Monday, about 25 of our community here at Mosaic are getting on a plane and they're flying to the mountains of North Carolina, and they're going to be there building houses and helping people whose lives have been devastated by the hurricane and the natural disaster. Now, that's the area that Kim, my wife, actually grew up in, and her sister manages the government project where she grew up when she was a little girl. And they're going to be working with people whose entire lives have been washed away by the floods. And what's crazy to me is that some of the people joining them were a part of Mosaic but have moved to North Carolina. In fact, one of them lives in Durham, and our team needs a tractor, and they have a tractor. Now, there is no way they would have a tractor if they still lived in Studio City or if they still lived in Culver City. So sometimes I feel that it's almost as if God is playing chess, and he orchestrates us and moves us to the right place at the right time so that we can do the most good in the world. But the reason I tell you this is that for most of us, church is what happens on Sunday. But for those who understand what church is what happens on Monday. This is not the event, it's the huddle. This is where we come together and we invest in each other and we grow and we develop and we draw near to the person that God created us to be by drawing near to God who created us. But if what happens here doesn't affect what happens tomorrow, it really has no meaning at all. Sunday only matters if it changes Monday. And so I want to take a few minutes and talk about this concept of church. Because it's kind of an odd concept if you think about it. If you grew up outside of church, if you grew up irreligious, church is a bizarre concept. And by the way, it's not always my favorite concept. Now, I know I shouldn't say that from here. Because sometimes I feel as if people think I came up with the idea of church. I did not come up with the idea of church. I had no idea that churches existed. I grew up irreligious, and I didn't even know that this was a thing. But I look back now and I realize that in Miami, Florida, we lived next to the house where a Southern Baptist pastor lived. I didn't know what a Southern Baptist was. It could have been a plumber or an electrician. And his son was our age, and he was a really good kid. He was almost strangely good. But every Friday he would tell us that he would have to turn in his list of everything he did wrong, and that's how much he would get spanked. So whatever Southern Baptists were, I was afraid of them. But I didn't know that there was a religious connection. And when I was in college, I still didn't see churches anywhere. Have you ever bought something that you thought was unique, and then after you bought it, you realized it was common? Like, I've had my black Tesla for 7 years, and I thought it was so unique until I owned it. And then I saw black Teslas everywhere, and then I matted it black so it would be unique. But there are black matted Teslas everywhere. And even years ago when I bought Kim a cherry red Mini Cooper, it was the only one in the whole world except all the other million of red Mini Coopers that were everywhere once we owned it. Because once you experience something, once something becomes a part of who you are, you become more aware of it, you perceive it, you see it. And so before I became a person of faith, I was completely unaware of churches existing. And then after I became a person of faith, they just popped up everywhere. It was like this miracle. On Tuesday, there were no churches. On Wednesday, they were everywhere in the world, and I couldn't escape them. But when Jesus walked the earth, I can safely say there were no churches in the world. In fact, the concept of church did not even exist. In Matthew 16, where Jesus introduces this concept, which I think is really important to note that church is Jesus' idea. So whatever the church is supposed to be, it's Jesus' idea. And that's what we're moving toward, that ideal that was in his mind. In Matthew 16, beginning verse 13, it says, when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? They replied, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. But what about you, he asked. Who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Jesus replied, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Now, there's so much here that we may not be able to unwrap today, but what I really want us to just grapple with for a few moments is, why did Jesus introduce this concept, and what was he thinking, and why did he do this? Now, the conversation was in an interesting context, because Jesus has been leading his disciples for a season now. 3 years are about to come to a culmination. And so he asked them, who do people say that I am? You know, what's the buzz out there about me? Jesus has been healing the sick and making the blind see and feeding thousands and occasionally walking on water, doing some really significantly impressive things. And his teachings were like a healing salve for the broken. And so when Jesus asked them, who do people say that I am? It was all complimentary. You're John the Baptist, they say. You're Elijah, they say. You're Jeremiah or one of the other prophets. And all these are incredibly powerful compliments. I mean, if I got up with the boys, and we were playing basketball, and I said, who do they say I play like? And I just throw out a few options they would probably choose. And, if they said, everyone says you're like Steph, I could see that. I wouldn't say it myself, but I could see it. Or they might say, no, you're like Kobe. I could see that. And they might say, oh, no, you're like Pete Maravich. You're like a throwback. I could see that. And all that would be a compliment, unless, of course, I'm Michael Jordan. See, if I'm Michael Jordan and people say, oh, you're Steve Nash, or you're LeBron James, or you're Steph Curry, it would be insulting because you're Michael Jordan. See, to call Jesus John the Baptist, or Elijah, or Jeremiah, or one of the prophets would normally be a compliment, except unless you understand who Jesus is. And so then Jesus asked them, well then, who do you say that I am? And by the way, this is the one question each of us must answer for ourselves. No one can answer this one for you. And I am convinced it's a question Jesus asks each one of us. Who do you say that I am? And Peter, and we all know, if you paid any attention to the Bible, Peter's the guy who always jumps in first, and he's always wrong. And he stepped up, and he answered the question, because that's what Peter does. Peter's not afraid to fail. He's not afraid to go first. He's not afraid to look like a fool. And Simon Peter answered, you are the Messiah. This is the big answer. You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. I can only imagine the other disciples going, there he goes again. What is he thinking? Why is he calling Jesus the Messiah, the Son of the living God? Why is he attributing divinity to Jesus? And Jesus replied, I'm sure they were waiting for Peter. There you are again. But Jesus says, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah. For this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. He says, Peter, you are so right that you could not have gotten this answer by yourself. You cheated. Flesh and blood have not revealed this. It does not come to you by your own intelligence or your own insight or your own wisdom. This has been revealed to you by my Father. And he says, and I tell you that you are Peter, which means rock. And on this rock I will build my church. There it is. There's that phrase. And the gates of Hades will not overcome it. And then he adds some incredible nuance to this. Whatever this church thing is, says that I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. But have you ever heard a word that you'd never heard before? Like if I started talking to you about kaputniks. And I said, when was the last time you encountered a kaputnik? What was your experience with a kaputnik? What did you feel about it? What did you think about it? You're like, what is a kaputnik? Well, it's nothing because I just made up the word. But if there was a word you'd never heard, it would not evoke any idea or emotion in you. And that's what the word church was. It was not a word they had ever used or a word they had ever heard. It was a new word, a new concept, a new idea. In fact, when Peter said, you are the Messiah, what he's actually saying to him is, you are the culmination of Judaism. What he's saying to Jesus is, you are the promised one that we've waited for generation after generation after generation. You are the completion of what it means to be a Hebrew. You're not here to start something new. You're here to culminate something that has existed for generations. You're the Messiah, the promised one. They did not see Jesus as coming to start a new religion. They saw Jesus as coming to usher in what God had promised for generations. And they certainly did not see Jesus as trying to start something called Christianity. So what for them became the church, and why did Jesus talk about it before he even died? This wasn't an afterthought. Jesus is telling them, I came to do something that you could not imagine. I came to create a community that would change everything. Now, the church is a kind of a curious thing because the church is an us experience. And by the way, if Jesus only came to connect you to God, he wouldn't have needed to start the church. And in fact, if he was only trying to connect you to God, the church would only get in the way. I mean, how many people have had a terrible church experience? I mean, how many people feel like the church is the one thing that keeps them from believing in God? I mean, after all, it almost feels like the church is the huge obstacle to keep us from believing. So if God only wanted to connect us to him, the church was a terrible idea. And it's an exhausting idea. Do you know how exhausting you make my life? I mean, how many people do you actually think about, care about, worry about? How many people do you allow into your soul so that their pain is your pain, their disappointment is your disappointment, their sorrow is your sorrow? I mean, what is your soul capacity to carry on someone else's life inside of your soul? It's hard enough just to carry you, right? And one of the things I've just had to grapple with over the years and years and years where we've decided to do this thing that we call church is how exhausting you guys are. Because the moment we decide to love you, we're now carrying your burden too. Your pain too. Your joy, yes. And your victories, yes. And your accomplishments, yes. But they don't seem to be as numerous as the pain and brokenness and sadness and disappointment that fills our lives. Because life is hard. And then you guys don't even cooperate. Wouldn't it be great if we just all picked one day a year where we could all be miserable? Like one day a year where we could all express our pain. I'm saying November 11th. 11/11, right? On 11/11, we all get to be broken. On 11/11, we get to be disappointed. On 11/11, you can be hurt because your boyfriend walked away. On 11/11, you can be brokenhearted because you lost your dream. On 11/11, you can be angry because you lost your job. On 11/11, that's the day. You get to come and say, I hate my life. But not on the 12th, and not on the 10th, and not for 363 years, because the rest of the year, I don't want to carry the weight of your pain. And you don't want to carry the weight of mine. And so let's just all decide just one day a year. But it's not like that, is it? If you have 365 friends, you got one friend for each day to experience some level of pain. Because that's real life. Because life is hard. If God was only trying to connect us to himself, this might be a terrible idea. But he wasn't. The reason the church matters is that it's through the church that God connects us to each other. See, this is the miracle. The miracle is that God has always intended to not simply connect us to himself, but to connect us to each other. Because connecting to God, wouldn't that be easy? I mean, we would be the only downside. Because God's not a downside. God's never needy. God's never high maintenance. God is always optimistic. God is always full of hope. God is always full of love. God is always full of joy. So this would be a one-sided relationship with just me and God. I would be the high maintenance person. I would be the one that was needy. I would be the one always asking and always receiving. But now when we're together, we fight over it. Who's going to care for who? By the way, if you don't believe in God, it's really easy to believe in God. All you need to do is see him clearly. The reason it's so hard to believe in God is because God gets all distorted. It becomes murky when you look at people who say they believe in God. See, when you look at me, you get a distorted view of God. It's a lesser view of God. As hard as I tried, as much as I want to be a clear reflection of Jesus, I'm an inadequate reflection of him. And so I immediately take a half life, the incredible beauty of who God is. All you need to do to believe in God is see him for who he really is and experience him purely. But it's different with people. The miracle isn't that we would choose to love God. The miracle is that we would choose to love each other. Oh, and you know the problem because you hear it, don't you? I don't go to church because it's full of hypocrites. Of course it is. Where else are we going to go? But by the way, Blue Bottle is full of hypocrites too. Are you going to stop drinking coffee? I don't believe in Blue Bottle anymore. No one there is real. No one lives up to my expectations of them. You're going to stop? I don't go to AMC Theater anymore. Because if I go to a movie, you know what's going on? I'm sitting in the room with a bunch of hypocrites. It's only here that we act as if we're supposed to be perfect. I'm just a hypocrite in transition. I'm working my way through who I was to who I'm trying to become. How about you? See, here's the problem here. The church is the one place where we're supposed to be honest about how messy our lives are, how broken we are, how messed up we are, and then we're supposed to still accept each other. See, the church matters because it's how God connects us to each other. I remember when Kim and I were young in our marriage, been married 40 years, but this was decades ago, before I learned better. One day Kim looked at me, and it was a really beautifully romantic moment, and she said, "Tell me why you love me." And I fell right into that. It's like it's a trap. Honey, tell me why you love me. And I was new in my faith journey, and I wanted to become an expression of unconditional love. And so I looked at Kim and those beautiful blue eyes, and I said, "I love you for no good reason at all." It felt very Notebook-like in my head. It was like, it felt very romantic, really beautiful. And she said, "Oh, so there's no reason to love me, huh?" That's not how it played out in my head. And I said, "No, that's not what I mean." She goes, "Oh, so it's just good to know. There's no good reason to love me. Now I don't have to even try." And I realized my wife did not want unconditional love. She wants conditional love. I love you because you're so awesome, so beautiful, so kind, so loving. She wants reasons because if we don't have reasons, we don't feel validated and worthy of love. But the church is a place where you're supposed to come clean, be true, be transparent, be honest, and trust that people will love you in your imperfection. The church is a beautiful idea because we need the kind of human community where we don't have to pretend anymore. The church is how God connects us to each other. Now, and by the way, as much as I joke about how hard it is to be here, life would be so much harder without you. We stay in LA not because of the low tax bracket or the clean streets or the crimeless city, because truly this is America's ideal city. We don't live here because of that. We live here for one reason, And it's you. Because there's something really beautiful about who you are. And it's the miracle that we've searched for all of our life, that we could have community together in all of our imperfection. But what we find is that Jesus was also doing something else. The church matters not just because it's where God connects us to each other, but it's also where we can experience God more completely. Now, I know there's this interesting divide between being spiritual and being religious, right? How many would say, I'm spiritual? Just, you can raise your hand. You can humor me today. But how many would say, I'm religious? Just a few, and they're a little nervous. Because we know it's not popular to be religious. It's popular to be spiritual. But what's interesting, though, is that religion is always about other people, and spirituality is always about me. And so we're spiritual when it's really a very independent, isolated religious experience. And then we're religious when there's other people involved, and we call that institutions. But they're not institutions, they're people. Now here's the ironic thing. Another survey. How many people here would say you're introverted? Raise your hand. Okay. Wow. Not as many as I expected. How many would say you're extroverted? Raise your hand. So many of you. I'm a very, very introverted person. And for me, I love me some me. You know, I know I'm not supposed to say that. Let me add another word. I love me some me time. You know what I mean? I need me time. I like talking to me. I do. I enjoy my company. And sometimes I feel other people are getting in the way of my most meaningful conversations with me. And so I can have a deep, deep spirituality, just me and God, even without God, just me. And pretend that God is there too. And my wife, Kim, she's so extroverted. She puts chairs on the front lawn just so she can speak to strangers. And it makes her so happy. Hello! And she just talks to everyone. And it makes me so anxious. And I've come to realize that a part of the reason I was always a night person, I'd stay up to 3, 4 in the morning, was because night is the only time there were no humans to interact with. And in fact, last night was so funny because I really, really, really needed some me time. But I don't know, Kim got a second wind. She usually goes to sleep around 8 o'clock, and then I get me time. But she popped back up like 10 or 11. She came downstairs, sat right next to me, and she was just so alive. And she just talked and talked and talked and talked. I don't even remember about what. I think it was politics, you know, or North Carolina or Malawi or a marriage. I'm not really sure. And I do remember thinking after a while, wow, she's really talking. And we had that time together while she was talking and I was listening. And after a couple of hours, I believe it was a couple of hours, and she recognized the contribution I had made. And she said, thank you for letting me talk. And I said, you're welcome. Are you going to bed now? Because I could do a lot of my life alone, but I still need people. And she needs people, but she also needs some time alone. And so much of what is really healthy in life isn't an either or, it's a both and. See, when we come together, something happens that cannot happen when you're alone. Now, there are things that happen with God that can only happen when you're alone. And you need to make time for that. You need to learn how to reflect. You need to learn how to meditate. You need to learn how to wander in your imagination, walking with God, and allowing Him to take you to places you would never see without Him. It's a beautiful journey. And some of you are so extroverted, you're terrified of being alone. You can't spend 3 minutes in prayer. And you're wondering why you're so anxious and stressed out and overwhelmed by life. It's because you don't know how to create that space where God can give you peace. But then there are others of you, or us, that need to realize there's an aspect of God you cannot experience by yourself. It only happens in community. And it happens so often when we worship. I mean, I feel it, don't you? I can come in heavy, I can come in depressed, I can come in sad, I can come in overwhelmed, and then they start leading us in worship. And that's why you should show up on time. Or early, which is on time. On time is late, and late is unacceptable. But anyway, back to this. When you're singing in worship, you ever notice that you're able to somehow go someplace when you're worshiping a community that you cannot go alone? It's not just that they give us words that express our deepest feelings. There's something transcendent that happens. There's a resonance with their souls to our souls, and we are lifted up together. And when Mariah sings, I'm elevated to a different place. And when Robbie sings, I'm taken to a different place. And when Carlos sings, I'm now Puerto Rican. And something happens when we sing and worship together. Something happens when you pray with other people. I'm not sure why. May sound odd to you, but I'm actually uncomfortable when I pray with other people. I have to force myself. I'm so comfortable praying by myself. Anybody else resonate with that? When I'm praying with other people, I have to get out of a comfort zone, and it does something. And Jesus says, where two or more are gathered in my name, I'm there in the midst. And it seems as if Jesus is trying to get us out of our individualistic shell so that we can share with someone else our deepest longings and our deepest needs and our deepest desires and our deepest dreams. And we get them out of the hidden place of our soul, and we share it with one other person. They begin praying with us, and something powerful happens. See, the church exists because we experience God differently together. And I know some of you think that you and God, you've got it. Me and God, we have our thing. But you're just not a big enough container to experience the fullness of God alone. Your brain's too small. Your mind's too small. Your soul's too small. Because God is infinite and limitless. And there's an aspect of God you can only experience alone, but there's an aspect of God you can only experience together. And it's a beautiful thing when we discover that in community we experience a human experience that is transcendent, that cannot be experienced alone. You think, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Let me give you another example just quickly. You realize you can't experience love without another human being? Now, interestingly enough, they don't have to love you for you to experience love. You have to love them. And so love immediately moves you out of yourself to someone else. Isn't that scary? Isn't that why love is so terrifying? It's because now you're out of your soul and someone else's. There are certain human experiences that can only be experienced in community and not in isolation. The church matters because it's through the church that God brings us together. And the church matters because it's through the church that we experience God more fully. But it's also through the church that God reveals himself to humanity. See, this is why Jesus established the church before he died. Letting them know this is how everyone is going to know that I'm actually who I claim to be. I'm going to ask you guys, just wait a few minutes. That's a good place for you to wait. Have you ever met an amazing person? Like Aaron waits right there. He's an amazing person. And if you meet Aaron by himself, you think, wow, he's an amazing human being. And you'd be right. But you would attribute all the characteristics of who he is to him. But if you meet Aaron and then you meet James, then you meet Pedro, and you meet one, then two, then three, you go, wow, that's another amazing person. One amazing person must have found another amazing person, and they became friends. And then you meet a third one, you go, wow, that's three amazing people. And if you meet four, you might actually begin to wonder, where are they coming from? Because I not only want to know these amazing people, I want to be an amazing person. And if I can figure out where these amazing people are coming from, maybe I too can become an amazing person. Or if I flip it the other way, some of you don't know this, but I spent probably 10 years of my life working with drug cartels, gangbangers, assassins, in the world of drugs and prostitution. I cannot even begin to tell you how many times I've had weapons pulled on me and murderers, killers, assassins sit face to face with me. That's my old life. And I can tell you, whenever I would sit with a killer, not a potential killer, but a killer, carrying weapons, knives always made me more nervous than guns, because it's a slower way of dying. I always found their humanity. And they found mine. We would almost always make a connection. And many, many times became friends. But then when you were with 2 of them, something would change. And when you were with 5 of them, it really began to change. And when you were with 20 of them, and they were all wearing the same jackets or the same tats, everything changed. And all of a sudden you saw that one person you knew through a completely different filter. They became far more violent and dark and sinister. And yes, even evil. There's something about community that shapes us for the good or the bad. When someone sees you or they see me and they see something valuable in us, they might attribute it to us, but when they see it in community, they begin going, there's something going on. Why is there this entire movement of kindness? Why are all these people so full of compassion? Why are they all, even though they're so different, filled with hope? Why are they all so confident that the world can be a better place and that people can be better than they are? What is going on inside of them? And by the way, it happens with imperfect people. You don't give up on anything else. If you've ever given up on the church because of the people, then you need to stop living, because there's nowhere to go. Anybody here in a Pilates class? Or you go to a gym? Did you stop going to Pilates because they all look awesome, but then they vape because they're so anxious? Come on. You stop going to the gym because, they're all, cut, and then their relationships are broken. See, you don't give up on anything else in life because you're surrounded by broken, imperfect, messed up people. And then we go, oh no, I'm giving up on church because oh yeah, I know what they are. I found the perfect word. They're all human. But if we could just all together realize that the church is Jesus' strategy to prove to the world that he is who he is, we would take this on differently. Have you ever noticed that the only people who ever talk about God or Jesus are the obnoxious people? Right? It's crazy. Like, they're the ones on television, they're the ones on the street corners, and you are the kindest, most beautiful, most sensitive, most caring people in the world. And when you are, you know what you do? You stay silent about your faith. Because you don't want to be intrusive, you don't want to be offensive, you don't want to impose yourself on people. So they look at you and go, what a kind person. They would never believe in God. Because only obnoxious people do. I remember I was at one of these TED events, and I was with the chancellor of the most prestigious private school in the world. And we had a lot of interactions and a lot of encounters. And then he discovered I believed in God. And then he discovered I believed in Jesus. And he came to me and said, I'm really disturbed. And I said, why? And he goes, you're too intelligent to believe in God. And you're way too intelligent to believe in Jesus. And I said, I am so sorry. You've just met a lot of dumb Christians. He said, oh, that could be true too. And it's not that we're dumb, it's that we're insensitive. But if only insensitive Christians talk about their faith, what's the rest of the world going to believe about Jesus? I need those of you who are the kindest, most caring, most creative, most imaginative, most beautiful human beings to be more open about who Jesus is to you. Because the church exists as proof to humanity that Jesus is who he claims to be. This is why the church matters. And by the way, the church doesn't matter as an idea. We are the church. We matter as a humanity. Because it was people like you that destroyed all the obstacles between me and God. It was people like you that helped me overcome my intellectual arrogance. It was people like you who got into my head and made me wonder if Jesus was real. It was people just like you that made something break inside of me when I said, Jesus, if you're out there and you want me, I'm in. The church matters to me because you changed my life. And there are people everywhere who desperately need to see Jesus in us. Would you just bow your heads with me just for a moment? You may be here today and you've never invited Jesus into your life. You've never asked him for forgiveness or freedom. You've never crossed the line of faith and made a decision to follow him. And I want to invite you today. See, the church is here for you. We are here for you because you matter to God and you matter to us. And if you're here and you're ready to receive the forgiveness and freedom that only Jesus can give you, I want to invite you right now just to pray this simple prayer. Jesus, I give you my life. That's it. Jesus, I give you my life. It's just a simple prayer, but it's the beginning of new things. Right now, just whisper to him, Jesus, I give you my life. If this is your prayer, if you'd like a new start beginning today, if you'd like to trust Jesus with your life and your future and your hopes and your dreams and your fears and your doubts, and this is your prayer, Jesus, I give you my life, I want to pray for you. But I want you, with all the courage you have and all the confidence you have, to raise your hand and say, I give my life to Jesus. If that's you, if you just prayed, Jesus, I give you my life, just hold your hand up high real quick. I just want to see you. I want to pray for you. Beautiful. So many of you. Right now, just hold it up high. No halfway. You can't say, Jesus, I almost give you my life. Right now, I give it all. Right now. Beautiful. Father, I thank you for each person that has opened up their life to you. For each person that whispered the simple prayer, Jesus, I give you my life. That they would know that in this moment you have heard their prayer. You've come to dwell within them, and that Jesus, you now live in them, and they live in you. And you will never leave them or abandon them. I pray, God, that you would so wrap them up in your love that they would never doubt again that they are fully and completely loved and accepted. And I pray, God, that this week would be the beginning of new things for them. We thank you, and we pray in Jesus' name. Can we just thank God for all those who responded to him? Thank you guys so much.
Or you go do whatever you have to do after church. I saw so many hands, people making that decision to follow Jesus. You are the reason why we're here. You're the reason why we do this every Sunday. This is why the church matters. We want to help people find Jesus. So if you made that decision today, There's going to be a team waiting for you outside. We have a Bible for you. But also my invitation for you is to not keep that decision that you make private. The church works in the context of people. Make that decision and take it somewhere. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell a friend. Let someone know that you invited Jesus into your life today, okay? Grab a Bible. At the end, we have a team waiting for you. And then the other thing for the rest of us, if you really love Jesus, if you really follow him, we get an invitation, a practical way where we get to say yes to Jesus every time that we gather. And that's through our generosity and through giving. Giving is a practical way. It's a way where we can show God that we are with him, that we follow him. So I want to invite the team to come forward. And there's a couple ways that you can give. You can give physically with cash or check and put it in the buckets that we're about to pass. But you can also give going to that QR code or going to mosaic.org/give and make your contribution there. If you already give here at Mosaic, I want to say thank you so much for trusting what we're doing as a church. We couldn't do what we do without you. And if you're here and you love what you have experienced today, I just invite you to make today a day where you choose to give here at Mosaic. Let's pass the buckets. And as the buckets are passing, I would love for everyone to grab the envelope. You might be sitting on that envelope, or maybe you already put it in the bucket, or it's under your chair. This envelope says Foundation Sunday. This is something that we're going to be talking about as a church for the next couple of weeks. At the end of this 4-week series talking about why the church matters, we're going to step into Foundation Sunday. And Foundation Sunday is a Sunday where we as a community, we get to step in and we get to dream and to invest in the future of Mosaic. We've been talking about taking Mosaic to New York City, to London, to our community in Nueva York, in Mexico City, and Ecuador, and South Pasadena. There's so many places that we want to keep going. And we want to invite our community to be part of the dreams and the things that we want to do as a church. And on the last Sunday of this month, we're inviting everyone who's part of our community to bring their offering, bring a special offering on that Sunday. So take this envelope with you. And I want to challenge you and invite you to be praying for what contribution you're going to bring on that day. Can I have you guys stand up one more time? We're going to sing. Today is first Sunday, so when you go outside, we have a party waiting for you. Coffee, food, hang, and the best part, people. So let's worship one more time.
I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, 'cause this is how I pray. Church, let's declare this. I will sing, I will sing, I lift my voice, my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, 'cause this is how I praise the Lord. This is how I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak. So I will sing, this is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is how I thank, this is how I thank the Lord. This is how I thank the Lord for loving me, keeping me. So I will sing, this is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is how I thank the Lord. Mosaic, we love you. We'll see you next week.